Hi everyone, welcome back to UniVoyage. I'm Kanika, and today I'll be sharing with you how you can analyze your mocks. Now I understand that your exams are coming closer and you'll be giving more and more mocks. So I'm here to help you analyze all of those mocks. Now, the very first thing is, why should I even give mocks? Like, a lot of you might be thinking that I can just spend this time practicing from textbooks, because I do understand that giving mocks is, yes, a time consuming process. So why not just practice from like textbooks and practice more questions instead of that? The thing is that it's important for you to create that sort of environment of that pressure while solving questions within a certain time duration, with like 3 different sections, or like certain n number of questions to cover, right? So you have to create that setup, you have to create that sort of environment and get used to that, get the hang of it. Some people even go to the extent of giving it at like the same time as they might be giving their actual exam, and that's like a technique that you might have followed for your board examinations as well. So competitive exams are no different in terms of this. This is why giving mocks is important, right? So that you do not feel the pressure on that exam day, and you feel more relaxed, and it's almost like just another day for you when you go to the exam center, right? So that's why giving mocks is important. But a lot of people just leave the mocks as it is, like, done, given as many as I can and just done with it. And this is also like a mistake that I made in my initial few mocks. I would just give them and be done with it. But it's very important to analyze each and every question of each and every mock you give. One of the reasons for that is because a lot of times I noticed that this particular question in this particular mock, like while I was giving the mock, I realized that, oh, this question I've seen somewhere else in some other mock. Only if I had taken the time to analyze that mock, I would have probably got this additional mark here. So there are a lot of these additional or these sort of repetitive questions in every single mock. And if you don't analyze your previous mocks, you may be thinking of the same situation in your actual exam day as well. And you do not want any sort of regret on that exam day or after your examination is over. Therefore, analyzing your mock is very, very crucial to understand your strengths, your weaknesses, your strong areas, the areas you need to work on to be able to manage your time on the actual exam day. Analysis is very important. But how do you do it is like a question that I want to highlight on today. So the very first thing that you need to keep in mind is your strengths and weaknesses. Now, in any site you use for giving your mock paper, you probably get an analysis of strengths and weaknesses, strong areas, weak areas already. Like any mock site you use, right? It'll give you roughly this sort of analysis. Oh, you're good at these topics, you're bad at these topics. But a lot of times they are also like logged and they are not that accurate sometimes. So which is why I feel like it's important for you to have a proper Excel or a proper spreadsheet or just like a Word doc of your strengths and weaknesses after every single mock you're giving, the areas that you felt were strong and you could solve easily, A, and quickly, B. Like, both things are very important. Not only concept clarity, but also the time you're taking in solving each question is very crucial. So you should keep a note of that while considering a certain topic as your strong area, right? Because you may be able to solve a certain question correctly, but did you solve it quickly? And I'll help you analyze your time in the later half of the video as well. So Strength and weakness table is very important, and this will not only help you during your preparation and understanding which areas to sort of work on before attempting the next mock, but also on the exam day, because like when you see a question, ideally you're supposed to sort of think of, oh, which topic does it come from, and whether that topic is like a strong area or sort of like a weak area for me, again both in terms of concept clarity and in terms of the time you take to solve that particular question of that particular topic, right? And once you identify that, you can easily either skip that question completely, attempt it, or flag the question, right? Like for instance, if you know for like 100% that concept clarity check, time check, attempt it. If you feel like, oh, concept clarity check, but time, it'll take some more time to solve it, and I don't want to waste the time as of now, like so early into the paper, flag the question, mark for review the question, right? And if you feel concept clarity is a little here and there, I might have to do guesswork, skip it completely for now, and maybe you can come back to it later on, but I don't think you need to even spend that much time on it while checking the mark for review, the flag questions later on in the exam duration, because you need to understand you don't have 5-6 hours to solve certain paper, right? You have a certain limited amount of time and you need to use it to the fullest. So creating a strength and weakness table, therefore, is very, very crucial and very useful as well. Now, the next thing is the rule of 3. Now, 3 is a very powerful number in general, and I would tell you the importance of it in mock analysis as well. Now, essentially, you can divide your paper or your mock into 3 sections or 3 categories: correctly attempted, incorrectly attempted, and unattempted. So these are the 3 categories of questions, right? Now, there'll be questions that you got incorrect. So it's very important for you to understand the reason you got the questions incorrect. Was it like an issue of concept clarity? Like, was it guesswork, or was it complete error in understanding the concept behind the question? Or was it a misunderstanding in reading the question? Or you could not read between the lines. That happens a lot in English, right? In the English verbal section. Or was it a silly error? Depending on which kind of error it was, your plan of action has to work, right? So like, let's say if it was concept clarity, go work on the concept immediately. If it was a matter of silly error, then trust me, with time, you'll get over these errors. And it's not like I'm telling you some unique things, right? This is something you must have noticed in your board prep as well. Like, you all have given board examinations. You know that initially you would be doing a lot of silly errors, but as you get used to that environment of giving the board exam, as you give more and more mock papers for even boards, you sort of overcome those silly errors, and you don't make those silly mistakes in the actual exam. And trust me, silly errors are the worst, be it boards or your competitive exam. So the more you practice, the lesser errors, as far as silly errors are concerned, you would make. Okay. Now, this was as far as the incorrectly attempted is concerned. About the correctly attempted, about the unattempted first, I'll talk about those. So you again identify the reason you left it. Was it because you didn't know the concept at all? Was it because you felt like it would be too time consuming, but you know the concept? Or was it just that you by mistake left the question? If the case is that you left the question, again, the more practice, the lesser these mistakes would be. If it is a matter of concept clarity check, but time is an issue, work on your speed, right? But it's okay to have these errors genuinely, because you cannot solve the entire paper. Like a lot of times the questions are supposed to be lengthy, but if your concept is in place, good to go. But if the concept was an issue, not the time, then you definitely need to go ahead, build that concept so that in further mocks, you do not make that error or you do not leave that question again. Now, about the questions you got correct, This is a mistake I used to make initially while attempting mocks or even while analyzing mocks. I would just do unattempted, incorrectly attempted, done, move on to the next mock. No, that's not how it works. You have to look at even the ones you got correct, because yes, ideally you would think that, oh, I would have done it with like the best possible method. No, that there might be a possibility of doing it with like a quicker method. Go ahead, find that possibility if there is, so that you do not regret anything in the actual exam, right? So therefore, it's very, very important for you to even sort the questions you got correct, because a lot of times there is guesswork involved in some questions, especially if the VARC section is concerned. So you're actually not learning anything from even the questions you've gotten correct, which is not at all like the right way to approach a mock. You have to see it as a learning, you have to see it as a lesson. So from even the ones you got correct, if it was guesswork, go to the depth of the topic, go to the depth of the question, go to the basic grassroots and understand the concept, understand the topic. Genuinely, it will help you even learn newer concepts, even with the questions you got correct. Because trust me, we tend to do a lot of guesswork just unknowingly sometimes. Like after the paper, you wouldn't realize that, oh, I might have guessed this question, right? So please keep this in mind, that essentially you have to resolve the entire paper. Okay, so manage your time accordingly. Like during the day while giving mocks, manage it accordingly. Now we're talking about time, so let's focus a little more about time, because in the entire video I mentioned time, right? Now time management is very, very crucial. Please keep this pointer in mind. Now, as easy as it sounds on paper or as in like theory, and as easy as it sounds coming from me, it's hard to manage your time during the exam or while giving mocks. I understand that, and it's also harder to analyze your time and how you sort of divided your time in different topics, in different questions, in different sections. So therefore, you need to start at least with understanding how much time you took for each section, especially in like mocks where you do not have sectional time limit, right? You need to keep that pointer in mind, that, oh, did I take more time in the math section or the English section? Which one did I take more time on, so that on the exam day you know which section you have to do first, as far as IIM is concerned, right? But as far as going in depth about your time analysis is concerned, later on you can actually understand how much time you take in each topic. Like, of course, a very approximate idea that, oh, it takes me more time to solve maybe geometry questions, but it takes me less time to solve log questions or PNC, permutation combination questions. So that in the actual exam, when you see that particular question, you know whether this will take you more time or whether this will be a quick thing for you, so that you can manage your time in the exam accordingly. If you want a further in-depth analysis of time during the paper, please let us know. We'll make a new video on it and we'll try to help you like that. But it's a very subjective topic, because obviously there's no ideal time to solve a certain section. Everybody has their own strengths and weaknesses, even as far as topics are concerned. So therefore, I would suggest that you should try to just have a rough idea in your head of each and every topic, each and every section, and you will get that by analyzing mocks and by doing time analysis every single time. It's hard, I know. It's a little it's actually very time consuming, I know, but it'll be helpful, trust me. The more time you spend during your preparation on analysis, the lesser time you'll have to spend on the actual exam day while attempting questions. Okay, and that's it for the video. That's it for like the general tips. But like I would like to end on one note, that a lot of times a lot of sites will give you percentiles of your performance, and I think those are more crucial than your actual mock score, because yes, there are expected cutoffs, yes, there is like an ideal score in everybody's head, but a lot of times the difficulty level is higher or lesser for certain papers, so the expected cutoff will be different for that particular mock you've given, and therefore checking on the basis of percentile is very crucial. Now, having said that, there'll be times when you might not get the best percentile, the highest percentile you've ever got, right? So how would you feel motivated enough to go ahead and give another mock? Because I understand it's such a tedious process, right? What would motivate you to further keep giving mocks is creating like an Excel or a spreadsheet or a Word doc of just all the mock scores you've ever got, all the sectional scores, even if you're given sectional tests, all the marks you've ever got, because there'll be highs and lows. And when you see the highs, you'll want to have that again, you'll want to have that moment again, and that's what you'll work for. So that's why I also had a sheet maintained, and you should also have that maintained. You should have the best scores highlighted in green, and I think it'll motivate you to give more and more mocks. So yeah, thank you so much for watching. Keep giving mocks and do not feel demotivated by any scores. Your mock scores do not essentially define the final score you get in the exam, but definitely if you learn from your mocks, that's more crucial than the actual score you got. So thank you, and please subscribe to our channel for more such videos.